ladies and gentlemen. We're figuring out today, is Huey Lewis and the News, are they slop or are they not? We got to go over 4 things. We got to go over what is in fact slop, what's the definition, how do we detect slop, number 2. Number 3, are Huey Lewis and the News even talented? And then 4, finally, where are there, wait. Oh, no. How much of them are slop is 3. And then 4, are they even talented? And then cinco, number 5, is what do I think you will say depending on all the different things we said. So first, let's go over what is slop. Let's take a look here. This is the music matrix. Here is energy on this side, and here is catchiness on this side, right? So first we start with what is the energy level, right? And so typically, very quickly speaking, if something is between a 0 and a 5 in terms of energy, and someone is not a fan of that genre, they're probably going to call it something like indie, jazz, blues, country, classical, etc. If it's between a 5 and an 8 in terms of energy, someone who's not a fan is probably going to call it pop. If it's higher than that, it's usually going to be called metal. Anyways, when it gets sufficiently catchy enough, if you take, let's say, you take a punk song, right, and it's right about here, and it gets really catchy, people will not only call it punk, but they'll also call it pop and rock. Potentially they'll say indie, jazz, punk, rock, pop, but people will consider it rock because, it's catchy and high energy. If it's past the catchiness line, and if it's above the high energy, it gets called rock. If it's low energy and still catchy, it gets called pop. If it's not, people who aren't a fan of the genre will call it slop. This is the slop zone. Be weary, buyer. But you may be thinking, okay, that's great. I know what slop is, and I know I don't want to become slop, and I don't want my husband to become slop, but how can I detect slop so I can protect myself and my family? And you're looking at this next little ditty, this next little chart. I don't mean ditty like ditty, but I mean little ditty, like a how to rock and roll is defeated, and for what it's worth, you like Huey Lewis in the News. Now let's get back to it, right, kiddos? Now we got the catchiness. So slop can be detected usually by being less than a 7 in terms of catchiness, right? And so a lot of things go into catchiness. What is catchiness? Well, here's the thing. Is catchiness can mostly be boiled down to, if you want to get a good, quick, how do I figure out if it can be disqualified from being good? And I can say with a large probability it might be slop. We use predictability down here. Tell me if you can read that. Tell me if you read that. Now, predictability, if something's sufficiently corny, right, like Joe Bonamassa, it's just corny, predictable, it's not interesting, then it's pretty much guaranteed to be in the slop zone here to be a dud. But if it's completely incoherent as well, and it's something that doesn't make any sense, it goes nowhere, you don't even know what's happening, then it's also almost 100% guaranteed to be slop, right? It's going to be a dud, it's going to be slop. But if it's somewhere in the money zone between balanced and zany and the sweet spot, you've got balanced, you've got things, I'm going to say mostly Huey Lewis in the News is a little more zany than perfectly balanced. Something perfectly balanced is like AC/DC in terms of predictability. It's completely predictable, but not stale, right? That's balanced. Zany is, like it says, zany before it turns into I'm cranky. And it's just like intoxicating quirk. Now, you can look here. Being in the money zone does not guarantee a smash hit, but it does mean you have a chance at being a smash hit, right? You can see there is still slop here. You can be, kind of not completely predictable or not completely incoherent and still be slop, okay? So, but you can also be kind of a deep cut or something that's for only fans. Only fans of that artist are probably going to, like it. Or it could be a hit, which is something that's so catchy, above a 7, that everyone, can like it. It's a hit quality in terms of catchiness, or a smash hit, which is like a 9 or a 10. Now, how much of Huey Lewis in the News is slop? Because this is where it's tricky. Some people think, okay, well, because I know how to detect slop, I know what slop is, but how much is slop, and how does it affect if I think the band as a whole is slop? Certain songs can be slop for sure, but are people going to think they're slop overall? Now let's take a look. So here's a bunch of distributions. You can take bands like Motorhead and Slayer, where it's mostly for fans. If you like what they do, you're gonna get a lot of mileage out of the catalog of theirs. This is the catalog audit, right? And then if you let's say David Bowie, if you're not a fan of David Bowie's stuff, Well, though he's got maybe 10, 15 really good hits, his catalog is going to do nothing for you. And even if you are a fan, a lot of it's going to be stuff that you just skip, even if you are a fan. These bands don't have very many hits at all, but they have a lot of stuff that fans are going to love. These bands hit or quits. I put I put Weezer and Queen in here. Weezer has a lot of incredibly good music and a lot of incredibly unlistenable music, and not much in the middle. If you're a fan, you're getting a lot of good and you're skipping a lot as well. Then you've got your classic one-hit wonders. I'm going to revise this. I don't think Faith No More goes there anymore. But anyways, where do Huey Lewis and the News line up? And of course, you've got down in this right corner, you've got the classic catalog where it's mostly hits and a little bit of just for fans music. It's mostly really good, completely no one thinks it's slop. It's either rock or pop, right? So you can see the Beatles, Metallica, Daft Punk, Rage Against the Machine. Very little anything that you need to skip when you're listening to the catalog, even if you are a fan, right? So now, where do Huey Lewis and the News? Where do they go? Well, their album 4. I thought it was a little bit, no. So where do Huey Lewis and the News go? Let's think about it. Oh my God, what is this? What is this? I have a whiteboard down here. I'm going to write this down, and I'm going to keep track of it. But where are Huey Lewis and the News? I think Huey Lewis and the News are something between a 50-50 and maybe a little bit downsloped like this, a 50-50 or less than 50-50 catalog. And the reason I'm going to say that is you've got what the power of love, you've got a hip to be square, you've got say the heart of rock and roll is still beating, you got one new drug, wait, Ghostbusters, one new drug, there we go. Down the heart and soul. Don't need a couple days off. You've got a lot of good hits, right? You've got notable, and you've got some B-sides for fans, but like there's not a huge catalog to go back to. Even as a fan, you're gonna it gets a little too predictable, and so it kind of peters out. So you're gonna see here a little bit of a spoiler. I guess I won't show you all the way, but I'm going to do the catalog a little bit lower than a 50-50, and then we're going to move to the last thing before we get to the fun one. Now, this is, are they even talented? Now, if you just care about branding, and you don't care about musicianship, or if someone's a virtuoso, or if they have good guitar riffs, well, then you're going to have a different opinion than someone who just cares about guitar riffs, right? So let's take a look. You can see here are the 3 main buckets I think people judge, and where we get some disagreement on when people think they're slop or they're not slop, right? So if we look here, songwriting for Huey Lewis, I'm going to put it probably at a green, maybe a little bit of a green-yellow, but they have pretty good. Live show, probably green back in the day. Now they're a little older, probably not playing as much, right? Lyrics, I would say pretty good. The lyrics are very good. They get a lot of mileage out of them. They're not corny. They're also not completely predictable. They're pretty fun. They fit on a theme, so that's really cool. Riffs, I love the riffs. I love the tones. I love the solos. Really good. They get a green for me overall. Green means good. Yellow means okay. And red means slop. Slop, mid, and goated. Now, for the kiddos back home, guitars, they're going to get a green, right? For musicianship, as in, are there great riffs I can learn from them? Like, do they have, oh my God, that guitarist is amazing. I'm going to listen to this band for the guitarist to learn his parts if I'm a guitar player. Yes. Drummer, maybe not. Maybe a yellow, but nothing bad there. Bassist, let's go. Probably another yellow, so I just cover that with a yellow, Keyboardist, the keyboards rip, though, pretty solid. They're pretty nice in there. And then we got extra musicians, saxophonist. Huey, my man, does a great job. Overall, I'm going to give him like a green, yellow. We're going to give him a yellow, green, yellow gringo. Not even a grab. I'll grab it, just for you people. But I think they're pretty good musicians. They have good songs, too. And then the brand, the historical impact was actually pretty big in the day. Power Love was originally for, why am I picking up a whiteboard? It's not yet, silly. No, Power Love was originally written for the hit movie Back to the Future. And so was it Back in Time? That's like the outro. That's a couple days off. What am I thinking? But Back in Time, also Back to the Future. So they get a green in that front. Present impact, bro. You like Huey Lewis in the News? Patrick Bateman brought it back, Sicilian Braille, that whole thing, the Yale thing. That brought it back into the cultural consciousness, didn't it, right? That little ditty. It's quite magnificent. Aesthetic, unmatched. Stage design, not really aware, but I'm going to give them a green. They get a green. They get a green in this. Their themes are consistent. Their album art's good. They have a couple good album arts. I might give them a yellow there, but yeah, present impact. Power of Love was in friggin' Deadpool and Wolverine when they're going to get Wolverine and like the montage with Henry Cavill and all that stuff. And so it's like, oh, I wonder if they're culturally relevant. Yeah, bro. So most people are not going to be split because Huey Lewis. The only way you're going to be split on Huey Lewis in the News is if you just didn't like them when they came out. So I'm going to smack a loony down on this thing. They are in fact talented, and I'm going to say they're not going to be very controversial for their talent, but they might be controversial because of their catalog. Now let's actually finally look. Let's see, are Huey Lewis and the News, are they slop or are they not? That's what we're looking for. Are they slop or not on tonight's episode? Unless you're watching this in the morning at lunch, then it's not in the night, but it's my night. The dark night. Anyways, why did I do that? Now, let's take a look. When most people go, are they catchy, are they slop, are they not? They think of their 10 favorite songs, because those are the only ones you remember, and you go, on average, where were they? Were they good? Right? So I wrote down my 10 songs. Here they are. The Power of Love, and It's Hip to Be Square, and The Heart of Rock and Roll is to beat it, and One New Drug, and then Hard and Soul. The first couple you can see, though, are pretty high on energy. They're getting kind of up there with the energy, pretty good, and they're really catchy. And then Heart and Soul is really good too, but it's lower energy, right? And then Couple Days Off is pretty good energy, but it's just not. It's noticeably less catchy than the other couple, right? But then I'm doing it all for my baby, boo-doo. I'm doing it all for my baby. That 10, but lower on energy for sure. Back in Time, lower energy, medium energy, right? Or wait, no. Where is it? Oh, no, it's solid energy, I was going to say. It didn't sound right to me. But, working for a living, working. I'm taking what they're giving because I'm working for a living. Anyways, and then, walking on a thin line. Overall, 9.2 on catchiness, so really catchy, but they're at a 6.6 in terms of their energy. Usually I remember, since I'm a rock fan, not only things that are the catchiest of their catalog, the catchiest 10, but also the highest energy 10, right? That aren't completely, garbage, high energy, right? So where does that put Huey Lewis and the News? For me, I'm going to say, we go up here, we get a 6.6 on, so that's kind of like a punk energy level, right? And then you go over to a 9.2. So people could call them probably both punk and rock and pop. People probably aren't going to call them punk, but they might call them a little bit new wave, right? That was new wave of punk, right? Then it kind of turned into new wave of everything, but that's kind of the epistemology of those 80s bands and what people would say about them. But really, if you're looking in terms of energy level, it's maybe, kind of I would say most people are going to give you pop rock is what they're going to call it, right? Because most of the catalog stays pretty catchy. It starts here, and if you were to draw a circle of the rest of their catalog, or a scatter plot with little points, right? It would mostly end up in these different spots here. There might be some wherever, right? But it's going to be up in the top left is going to be here, and then probably a circle around there. So mostly pop and rock is what they're going to get called. That's what I think. What do you think? What bands should I cover next? If you like the video, I don't even know who I'm doing next. I might be doing, I could do Korn. I might do Pantera. I might do Idols if I want to get angry. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Great time talking to you. My band, listen to the outro music. They're cool. And watch the next video. I'll see you then.